Maybe the calorie count. What about climate change?
Well, environmentalists are warning that key ingredients in some of the nation's best-loved dishes could be under threat from global warming. We're joined now by Chef Tom Hunt and Gareth Redmond King, Head of Climate and Energy at the World Wildlife Fund. Morning, both.
Morning, guys.
Thanks very much for joining us. And that's what we really are saying, that we should start thinking when we're eating food, our favourite food, actually, hang on a second.
Well, we do. Hang on a second is a good way to put it. We don't want people to stop eating these foods. And the reason that we want to talk about the effects of climate change on these foods, and indeed the effects of these foods on climate change, is because we know how to solve the problem of climate change. We know that small changes in our own personal behaviour can help tackle climate change and make sure that we can carry on enjoying chicken tikka masala for years to come.
Tom, you're sort of very much into sort of sustainable eating. I know you're a big fan of cauliflower. So, what sort of, let's go back to the beginning. What does sustainable actually mean?
Well, it depends on which sector you're talking, but when we're talking about business, really we're talking about three pillars that consider people, planet and profit. So it doesn't mean we're not making profit as a business, it means that we're making that profit while considering those other factors.
Tell us about the food as well, because you really look at it, don't you? And sort of, what kind of changes do you make because of this, the way you're thinking?
So I've devised a sustainable diet, as it were, which I call root to fruit eating. And the key principles of that are to eat for pleasure, eat whole foods, and eat the best food we can. And the reason for that is that essentially when we eat for pleasure, we connect with the origin of our food and we start to invest in good ingredients. And essentially, good ingredients are more often than not sustainable ingredients.
And this is sort of, you were going to say something on the back of what Tom was saying.
I was going to say the reason that we're talking about this week is because it's Earth Hour this weekend.
That's what I was going to ask you about, so there you go.
Mind reader. So yeah, it's Earth Hour this weekend, 24th, Saturday the 24th, 8:30 to 9:30. It's the biggest worldwide environmental event. It's the opportunity for hundreds of millions of people around the world to say that they want action to protect our planet. But this time round, as well as getting people to turn their lights off to show their support, we're also asking people to make a promise for the planet, to make a small lifestyle change, which can be, for example, eating a bit less meat. It can be, refusing the plastic cutlery in the shop. It can be turning the temperature down on your washing machine. All these things have small impacts in themselves, but added up, they amount to a big change. I'm
interested in the way that you've sort of drawn this up, because you're targeting our favourite dishes, chicken tikka masala, fish and chips, others as well. So explain to me why they are under threat.
Well, I mean, obviously there are lots of other foods that are under threat as well, but it felt a good idea to focus on these. They're such iconic British dishes. And what we want to try and do is to connect people more with the idea that the impacts of climate change might be closer than we think. But also to kind of reassure people that we can make these small changes.
So why are they under threat then?
Because they're under threat because one of the most obvious impacts of climate change is temperature rises, for example. So as temperature rises, as the ocean temperatures rise, then cod, for example, tend to travel further north towards colder waters, which means other species come into our waters. Cod becomes more expensive, harder to get, and anchovies and chips might not sound so appealing to us as cod and chips. But temperature rises also cause droughts. And that can affect the feed that we rely on for rearing chickens. It can affect rice harvests, and we predict that rice will have increased in price by about a third in the next 20 or 30 years.
Is this, Tom, we're talking sort of restaurants here, home, bit of both? How does it sort of pan out, that sort of thing?
Definitely both. I think in the home we have collectively a huge opportunity to mitigate climate change through our actions, through the way that we choose food. But at Poco, my restaurant, we're in aid of Earth Hour, collaborating with One Planet Plate and the Sustainable Restaurant Association, putting on a sustainable plate along with 1,000 other restaurants around the country on the 24th of March.
Cauliflowers, really? A good ingredient? I love them, but...
Cauliflower, for me, is a winter stalwart that gets us through these kind of sparse months where there's slightly less, but still a huge array of wonderful ingredients that we can choose from. So I'm roasting my cauliflower with olive oil and serving it with a hazelnut sauce. And we're going to be roasting the leaves as well. So from root to fruit, crispy leaves, and then a hazelnut sauce made with stale bread from the restaurant.
There's a cauliflower waiting in my fridge for that. I shall try it. Thank
Maybe
you.
It's time for me to embrace the cauliflower.
Come on.
Do it.
Maybe I've reached that age in my life. Okay. Thank you very
Age
much.
thing.
Thank you.
No, I'm not saying that. It's
It's official.
consciousness. I'm conscious of the cauliflower.
Spring has finally sprung, has it or not? Let's find out. Tim Muffet is out and about for us this morning.